And we are recording with Dr. Suzanna. Am I saying that right? Dr. Suzanna Newell.
I'm not a doctor.
I thought you were a
No.
doctor. I've
No.
I've kind of developed my own like Tommy's law with this podcast
Uh-huh.
is whenever I'm not sure, just err on the side of doctor because no one
Yeah.
will no one will ever be upset if you call them a doctor and they're not. They'll be like, "Oh, you," versus you never want to have on a doctor and be like, "Here's Miss Newell," and it's like, "Excuse me." So
Right.
So with that,
Right.
Suzanna, Miss Suzanna Newell, please introduce
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Definitely not a doctor, although, Tommy, I feel like I almost could be because I've been doing so much research about my COVID vaccine injury that, part of me can go speak doctor speak when I'm in the office. So just to, I guess, lay out who I am and why I got so lucky to speak with you today. I got my second Pfizer vaccine on April 13th, 2021. And almost immediately, within less than 48 hours, started having issues and am still having severe issues today. I've been in the hospital a bunch of times. I've been to the ER a bunch of times and am now a frequent flyer at many different doctors' offices, including specialists. Just to back up, before life went chaotic for me in April 2021, I was a long distance biker. Like I do the MS 150 bike ride from Duluth to Minneapolis. It's 150 miles, so it's like 75 miles followed by 75 miles. Also did the women's YWCA triathlon. So it's like a sprint triathlon similar to like what they do in the Olympics. But I'm not an Olympiad and I wasn't necessarily winning medals there, but I was doing these things and I was very, very active. And now I need a walker pretty consistently, a cane, or definitely a wheelchair if I'm going more than a couple of blocks. I actually was hoping this would get better. I thought by now things would have improved, and people want it to improve. I think when you have a chronic injury and like something like you got injured by the COVID vaccine, they're like, oh, you drew the short straw. Sorry for you. It's very safe and effective for everybody else. I'm sure you'll get better in time. And I'm like, in the beginning, I actually was super quiet about it. I didn't want to scare people. It was April and I'm like, something's wrong with me. This isn't good, but maybe they can just study me and make sure this doesn't happen to me. But as time marches on, it's concerning and it's not getting better. Although meditation is helping me. So
Well, for everybody listening, that's what we started to talk about right before the podcast was meditation and how that is hands down is like the cement, the diamond foundation on which anything in my life rests on is my ability to. For some people, it's prayer. For me, it's meditation. You go inside and quiet the mind. And I would love to go down that track. But before we do, because I can and I will beat you to death with meditation. I will.
I would love to hear more about it since I'm new to it and you've been at it for a while. And I'm hanging on desperately to it to help me heal too. So.
All right, well, let's go into it then. Screw it. We'll go into it. Enough of the COVID
we
vaccine.
can go whatever order you want, though.
All right.
You do this on a regular basis. So
Well, I was gonna say in terms of meditation and podcasts, although I do it on a regular basis, I am just as lost as I was on day one that I am on year 15 of meditation. On episode 708 of this podcast, I still stumble into this thing every day and have no idea how it happens. So I do want to get into that then. Could we real quick just go into what exactly the vaccine injury was? Some people it's Guillain-Barre, some people it's myocarditis, pericarditis, some people it's rash, some people it's seizure, some people it's just on and on and on. There's paralysis. I know that there's like something like 30,000 cases of permanently disabled. I think it might be 18,000. I might be wrong on that. There's miscarriages. Obviously, there's 23,000 deaths. Could we real quick go into just what exactly the injury was, and then we'll just fly the rest of this thing into meditation. Who cares? Let's do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So starting back to, less than 48 hours after my vaccine, I had, and it's still kind of here, but like a lymph node in my neck that just
Okay.
started swelling up. In addition to that, I felt like extremely fatigued, like I had just run 2 marathons or something back to back, or had biked not just 150 miles, but maybe 300 miles. Like I know what fatigue feels like
Yeah.
after pushing my body from exercising and being more of an endurance athlete. And this was something new. I had bruising, actually, like new bruising on my arms, just showing up and all over me. Like it looked like a rash, but it was more bruising. And then I do have a rash on my forehead. I don't know if you can see it, but I
No.
still have it. Like it's been here since April. It started right away. So a rash on my forehead that actually looks like acne, but isn't acne, and flares up when I have like a high histamine diet. So histamine reactions is a problem for me. So so I waited 2 weeks though. This thing on my neck was, bothering me, but I thought, oh, I'll just put a hot compress on it. It'll go away. I just need to give it a little time. I'm having a reaction. I'm sure I'll bounce back. 2 weeks later, I went to the doctor. They started doing a whole bunch of tests, ended up getting an ultrasound, which showed inflammation, infection, or cancer in my lymph node and parotid gland. And so then I did an MRI and it said the same thing. That I remember the ear, nose, I kept getting referred to different specialists. The ear, nose, and throat doctor was like, oh, I'm not concerned about that. It's little. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm super pumped. You're not concerned about this thing in my neck. And I'm not even either if you're not, but there's something wrong with me. Like I am fatigued. I was starting to have brain fog. I was
Yeah.
actually valedictorian in my high school, and and I was like, my brain's not working. I don't know what's going on. Like my mom and sister noticed, wow, she's not as sharp as she used to be. So fast forward like a month later, at this point, I can't walk. Like my right leg is in extreme burning pain. Like I have burning pain on my inner thigh, and I can't walk like unassisted. So we went to the and I was getting like heart palpitations too, like problems with my heart, like chest pains as well. So we went to the emergency room, and they ran a bunch of tests, and they're like, well, we could keep you here, and have you do an echo stress test out as an inpatient, or you can go home and do it outpatient. I'm like, if you're telling me I can go, I'm gonna go home. I don't want to be in the hospital. So I'll do it outpatient. So we went home. Insurance ended up later denying that echo stress test, but I ended up getting one later when I was in the hospital last year on Thanksgiving with chest pains as well. But backing up, 2 days later, my doctor's office called me. Things are worse. I was having trouble seeing, and actually, this eye dilates funny. It'll like pulsate sometimes. It's like I've morphed into some alien, but really what it is my autonomic nervous system is
Mm.
completely out of whack. As I'm sure you've heard from others, things like losing your sense of taste and smell is autonomic. It's part of your autonomic nervous system. So I never had that. I've always had my sense of taste and smell, but my pupils aren't dilating properly. My heart's not regulating properly, among other things. I ended up going to the Mayo Clinic. Actually, I'm here in Minnesota. So the Mayo Clinic's in Rochester. So 2 days later, when my doctor said, well, if you're dizzy and you can't see, you need to go to the emergency room. And my husband's like, we're not going back to the same emergency room you went to that told you to just go home. We're going to the Mayo Clinic. Like he had wanted me to go before. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the Mayo
Yeah.
Clinic. But then I'm like, well, this is weird. If anyone's going to help me, it's going to be them. Right. So we drove there. Had like tons of tests. It kind of seemed like I was having a stroke. Like they noticed my eye at this
Hmm.
point. They're like, oh, your eyeball is much, this pupil is way bigger than this pupil. And, they had me do the test where you hold your arms out, and like I'd close my eyes and my hand was dropping and I couldn't hold my right leg up. But with all the tests, they're like, yeah, nothing looks wrong. And obviously something was wrong. So, but I was there for 2 nights, and then then just came a whole series of they had me go home. I couldn't walk well, but then came a whole series of follow-up doctor's appointments and more painful tests and less answers and more questions. Fast forward to today, though, I officially have, and I knew I had this back in July. How did I know it? I knew it because I was connecting with other vaccine injured, and they were telling me what their symptoms were, and they were getting tests. They were farther along in the process. They were getting tests. So I asked my neurologist in an outpatient appointment in July. I said, can we do a small fiber neuropathy skin punch biopsy test? I think I have small fiber neuropathy. And he said to me, I'm not convinced. And so I had to wait until December of last year to get that test. Guess what came back positive in January? Small fiber neuropathy. Yeah. And as a woman, I'm going to say sometimes it's hard to go into these doctor's appointments. As a smart woman who maybe did some research and knows like, oh yeah, I probably have small fiber neuropathy. Like you have to be a little gentle with egos.
Yeah, I was about to say egos. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could have been diagnosed back in July when I asked for it. I mean, I'm not doing this for fun. Like, I'm sorry you're not convinced, but like, could we just run the test because my body is not working here and I'm having these symptoms that everybody else is having. So it's, that's the part that like, I've been in corporate America. I work in corporate social responsibility. I'm on disability right now, but in a financial institution. It's kind of funny though, because we lack so much social responsibility, governmental social responsibility in regards to the vaccine and how they've been rolling them out. And we lack like pharmaceutical social responsibility. And big medical social responsibility. Just let me, and insurance social responsibility, let me do these tests. Like, I need help. I kind of know what I have. Please just let me run this test. So he agreed after he ran some other tests that came back negative. And then finally in December, I got it. Finally in January, I got the results back. And finally this coming Friday, I get to see a new neurologist who specializes in small fiber neuropathy. But I had asked him and already had a referral from the neuro-ophthalmologist who actually had small fiber neuropathy and also agreed that he thought I had it. He's like, you need to see this other neurologist. And, unfortunately, it took that long. Like, I could have seen that other neurologist back in July, but they talked amongst themselves, decided for me to go forward with the other neurologist plan. And here I am, like, without treatment. And I mean IVIG, which you may have heard about from any other vaccine injured, or maybe not.
Mm-mm.
I can bring you up to speed again with my Dr. Newell.
You are Dr. Newell. I'm making a note on my phone there's a podcast I want to get you on, one of my friends. I just don't want you to think I'm playing on my phone.
No.
I need to get a notepad because I'll bring up my phone during a podcast and start like punching in notes so I don't forget. And I'm always scared the guest is going to be like, screw this guy. So
way. I'm just thankful for you and taking the time to hear my story and share my story.
Thank you for coming on. What I wanted to say though is like, I mean, and I'd say all of this relatively, and as someone who's 1,000% on your side. So if I butcher things semantically, just give me some mercy. Sure. You're almost the best person for this to happen to in terms of speaking out against it, as someone who's valedictorian and as someone who's an insane athlete. 150. I walk a mile every morning. Well, that's one of the things. Meditation. I also walk a mile on the treadmill. I'm up to 4 miles an hour. Thank you very much.
Love it.
I don't know how you do that. My mom runs marathons and she's 62. You're doing this and but what I mean is like, so you can tell, right? It's one of the physicians I had on here talked about why so many professional athletes are not getting it, because all of their like biometric levels, those are all measured. I mean, because they're very valuable assets. I mean, sports teams are private corporations. you have, just like you got to hit your marks, you got to sell this many cars, or the hedge fund has to grow by this much, or you got to sell this many albums. They're checking everything on the athlete. What's your vertical leap? What's your, your VO2? What's your, and they are these very, so again, if it's someone who, not even necessarily who's like obese, but if it's just someone who maybe doesn't exercise regularly, or if it's someone who's not stupid, but also maybe not just, a naturally bright person, people around them might not notice a little fog. And who knows, maybe it won't even be intelligence. Maybe it's a funny person who's maybe not necessarily intelligent, but they're sharp and they got quick responses. And, you know, you can maybe tell that they're not as fierce. They're not jabbing as quickly. It's kind of like, what's wrong? It's these, people who are more on the outliers of skills and abilities and talents that they've developed, be it humor, intelligence, or biking 150 miles, which is just insane. That when you do introduce something and there is an injury, you can look at it a little more and go, what is that? What is that? Bob can't bike 150 miles. Well, Bob's also never biked 1 mile. So of course Bob can't. Tommy is just not as smart as, well, yeah, he's not a physician. So that's what I mean when I say it's good, relatively. It's good that it happened to you, because your testimony about this, to me, is that much more credible, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense.
It
It might be
sucks.
heard more because
It
I've
sucks. Like, yeah. Thanks, Tommy. I'm glad it happened to me. Good. I'll carry this. No, I mean, I get it. It sucks. But
yeah.
yeah.
I hear you though. I think you're right. I mean, I know well, what I like to say too is that what's happened to me is an uncomfortable truth. It's uncomfortable for people who believe in the vaccine as our savior and as the thing that's gonna, get everybody back to quote normal. And then you see somebody like me who was athletic, who is having brain fog, was, valedictorian, is having brain fog and struggling so much. And it's uncomfortable, right? So like a lot of people want to brush off my uncomfortable truth as something else. Like if people don't know me and don't know those things about me, or can't necessarily validate it right away because we're not Facebook friends or something, they might want to write me up to say, oh, she's menopausal. I've seen that. Or like, oh, it's just her thyroid or something. Like it's
Is
like
that not the most 50s mindset, 1950s? Oh, she's just a woman. Put on some makeup and make yourself a dream. Yeah, like,
it's funny. I
it's
mean,
it's from
you know
1950s
what? Like
stuff.
I actually, like, maybe it's the meditation, I don't know, but when people that I don't know come at me like that, I actually feel, I feel a little sorry for them because I feel sad that their truth, they're so
That
ingrained in
they're
their truth and they're so scared. Like I think it's fear. I literally think it's fear.
Oh yeah.
They're so scared that they need to attack somebody who's injured, like who's legitimately injured. And I think everybody's just dealing with so much fear right now. Like fear, people have fear of losing their jobs, fear of the jab, fear of dying from COVID. Like there's so much fear that they're just wanting to, attack others. It's that fight and flight sort of
Mm-hmm.
amygdala response right now. So I can accept and I don't know if forgive's the right way, but like word, but I can accept when people do that to me that I don't know. When they do know me and they're saying those things or calling me an anti-vaxxer, I'm like, are you kidding? I stood up in line first. And by the
You got
way,
by definition, you're vaccine injured. You got the vaccine.
yeah. I mean, I didn't, it wasn't even forced upon me. I'm all for it. I'm just for safety and accountability and social responsibility and having the right to speak. I mean, I've lost my uh freedom of speech right. I have to speak in code on Facebook. Like it's weird. I'm not a criminal. I'm just injured. I'm vaccine injured. So yeah, it's concerning, but it hurts the most when it's somebody that I know that goes attacking. But I do know that they're deeply ingrained in their fear too. So I have to, be at peace with that.
There's a lot to meditation there, in that you do kind of look at things more as, why are they actually doing this? Does this person really hate me? Does this or and maybe they are, and that, that's maybe the downside of meditation, is maybe you give people more benefit of the doubt. But I've found, at least in my short life, even just doing this podcast, interviewing Dr. Malone, Dr. McCullough, and a tons of others, is, when people I know will text me or email me, and they're like, dude, you got into medical school, like I thought you were, like, I've always known you, like you're a good, like, what is this shit, man? You're killing people, dude. This is your beer. I look at it, I'm like, this is someone that I'm friends with, or maybe not friends with anymore, just because we're older. Everyone's kind of growing and getting married and moving, sure, whatever. I'm like, this is someone that, like, there was never any like bad blood between, if that's the right word, bad energy. Whereas at first I can be like, man, fuck that guy. Sometimes I kind of look at it more. I'm like, where are they coming from? Maybe they're equally terrified. Maybe they're also 31, have no idea what this is. Is it a bioweapon? Is it a naturally occurring pandemic? Are we ever going to go back to normal? Is this our generation's World War II? What is going on? And maybe you see someone else that's talking, and because there's nothing else you can grab onto, it's not an invading army where you can shoot at them. And if you don't have a gun, you can grab a knife and go at them. Instead, it's something that's, on the nano scale. No one can see it. There's no one to point to and say, that's the enemy. There's no Nazi stronghold you can go bomb, or there's no Imperial Japanese palace you can drop a nuke on. But instead, it's cough. And then you see one guy who's out there saying, hey, I don't think this is the best response to it. Maybe there's nothing else. So you grab onto the only punching bag you can see. And maybe not. Maybe they're just a bad person. And if that's the case, they got to live with that. And I do feel bad for them, because, man, what a terrible life to just be a bad person. But I try to, like, try to keep my heart open to, like, maybe it's just fear. Maybe they're just fear. And it's caveat, I keep my heart open because it's just someone sending a mean text or a mean Facebook message. If anyone actually started to kind of like enact violence on me, okay, well, no, the heart's going to be closed. I'm going to call the cops, or I'm going to shoot you myself. But, like, when it's something like that, now it's harder. It's harder to keep your heart open when it's Facebook, or I'm permanently banned from YouTube, and I have been since August. It's harder to keep your heart open when you're looking at them. At first you go, maybe it's just a scared employee. Maybe it's a scared CEO. Maybe it's a CEO who's not 31, but at one time he was 31, and at one time he was 3.1. And maybe he's going, I don't know what's going on with this. I'm in charge of this company. I'm going to make a tough decision and say, no one can talk about ivermectin. No one can talk about vaccine injury. I want this pandemic to be over. Maybe he lost his mom to COVID and he's doing, but your heart can only be open for so long before you have to go, okay, well, you, Mr. CEO, or you, Mr. Facebook friend, what about, like, I get where you're coming from, fear, I get, okay, but what about this person over here who's vaccine injured, and now they're trying to talk out? At the very least, they're trying to figure out what happened to them and try to warn others that this might happen to you. Not that it will, but that it might. Well, now it's, if they're shutting that down, where it's like, okay, well, now it's kind of harder to keep your heart open, because this person over here has been hurt more than you, and you're not letting us talk about that. So I don't really, which is what I do with this podcast, I don't really know where that rant was going or what the purpose of that was, but I do get what you mean in terms of, yeah, it's sometimes you just feel bad for them. You're like, what, where are you? Whenever someone is like really like inappropriately rude, where it's not even like, oh, that guy's just tired. Whenever someone's just mean and you're like, that guy's mean, I always try to think, what proof do I have that this guy didn't lose his older brother to suicide 5 days ago? I lost my older brother almost 8 years ago. I would say for the knock on wood, for the most part, I've accepted it and moved forward. Not for a while though. Not for a while, for a couple of years. It was not only that I was rude, I was an outwardly bad person to be around. I was mean, I was vindictive, I was hateful, I was toxic, I was venomous. I blamed everyone, I hated everyone. Now that guy might just be a bad person. So, but again, the point is I try to look at it as like, all right, did that guy lose? Probably not. But if he did, and I have no idea if he did it or not, how would he be acting? Yeah, maybe he would be mad I took his parking spot. Maybe he's just going to snap. Maybe that person's vaccine injured. Maybe she can't bike 150 miles anymore. Maybe she snaps. I, I don't know. Now, as someone who has not been vaccine injured, how do you feel about, because as someone with a podcast that's just talking about the bad topics, it's kind of easy for me to brush these things off. Tommy, just spreading misinformation. It's like, and block. But for you, you're sitting there and you're like, hey, like I just go back to my life. I just keep going to whatever. You're sitting there and you're like, hey, I still need like a walker. And here I am, still with a walker every day. How do you keep your heart open to people that attack and silence you? Is there a limit to the rationalization that maybe they're just scared? Is there a point where you're like, hey, screw you? I don't really know where I'm going with any of this. Are you picking up what I'm
Yeah,
putting
no,
down?
I love it though. I love this conversation. And for me, this is, where I landed a while ago and which is, I've said this before when I've spoken, but I don't have a good platform to speak out. So again, thank you for yours.
Sure. No, thank you for coming on.
I I feel like this is a pandemic of trauma for everyone. And the trauma, which you've experienced when your brother committed suicide, that's traumatic and it's going to last a long time and you
Sure.
forever,
Yeah.
really. It will forever change your life,
Yeah.
right? So I think everyone's experiencing trauma. And I think the trauma is created by fear. I think, there was some fear created, right? Like, and some of it's valid. People were dying from COVID. I do believe in that. Like, I know that.
Yeah.
But some people are injured from the vaccines too. I think where I sit as far as that piece, and I feel like we have to pull together for humanity. This has been like my speech ever since the very beginning. The very first time I spoke out, and this speech made it all the way to Italy somehow. It was in front of I think it was a Stop the Mandates event, like March, which I did not march. I can't walk very well, but I spoke there. And it was in Minnesota at the Capitol in October of last year. And I wasn't even sure I was going to go because I figured this event was going to be full of people who didn't think like me politically. I happen to be a registered Democrat, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be a bunch of,
Yeah.
Republicans who maybe might like hate me or something because I'm a Democrat. But I feel like I don't even know if I was meditating. I think I was meditating already by then, but like I like meditated about it and thought that a wonderful friend across the street is like, set out a candle and a glass of water and get clarity about it and see if you want to do it. So I decided to do it. And I'm so glad I did, because when I spoke, I said, hey, I was afraid to come here today because I thought that most people in the crowd are going to be thinking differently than me. And I could see flags waving that were different than maybe what I think. But I said, I think that's the problem. The problem is we're being torn apart, and we're being torn apart by politics, by greed, like CEO pharmaceutical greed. And I'd say by politics, big pharma, big medical, and we really just need to come back together for humanity. And then when we went to Washington, D.C. to speak out, like I spoke out on Senator Ron Johnson's panel on November 2nd with Brianne Dressen and Kim Whitsack. That's
Yeah.
how I met Kim, actually, and she's a Minnesotan too.
Shout out Kim.
Yeah, I love Kim.
She's,
Oh my
she's
gosh,
the best.
heart
I know.
Kim. Like, she is an amazing human. She connected us, and I just love Kim. So when I was on that panel before we were going, they were like, "Oh, we've got these red shirts that we're making," and I was like, "What if we make purple shirts? Like, purple is the intersection of red and blue. You know, if you put red and blue together and you see the middle, there's purple there, and maybe like purple for humanity. So it doesn't have to be blue politics. It doesn't have to be red politics. If you put the two together, there is an overlap, I think, where both sides really care about humans."
That's a good, sorry to interrupt. That's a good point. I think like Purple Heart, you know, if you're injured fighting for the United States, you're not injured fighting for Democrats or fighting for Republicans. Little side note. Sorry, keep going.
That's true. Is that
I
what it is?
I have no idea. I don't know. If it is, then who knows? Maybe we just made that up. Maybe we need to.
I love it. But you know what's funny?
We need to patent that argument.
I love it. I actually gave Kim one of these, and I gave them to doctors that I saw. I didn't have a conversation with Dr. Malone the last time I was there, but I had one, I think, with Dr. Doyle or Coyle, and I have these little purple hearts that I give to doctors when they listen to me. I'm going to show you, and I'd love to. I should send you one if you give me your address, but that's just like a little purple like amethyst, and it's like, thank you for, because not all doctors want to listen. Some are like, I'm not convinced, and others are like, ooh, this is interesting, let me see how I can help you.
Yeah, I'll take one. I'll give you my address. I'll pin one up in my little makeshift studio.
Yeah, or it's like, I feel like it's an amethyst and it's a crystal, and that's supposed to be healing. And I think like if we all just have more humanity, that's why I'm wearing purple. Like on these interviews, I just wear purple. I'm like, beautiful. Let's just meet in the middle. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're blue or red. You feel like masks are the right things to wear. You feel like they're damaging to people. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you and your individual thoughts around that, you're truly believing that. That's your truth. You're not wearing a mask because you want to kill somebody. You're not wearing a mask because you believe they're wrong. So if we can just accept that most people, like you were saying, most people are good, right? Don't you think?
The overwhelming majority of people are good. And like you said, not wearing a mask isn't, they want to kill. Like, dude, maybe there's one person out there who's just like, I'm giving COVID to every grandma. I am the Grim Reaper. You know what? Fuck that guy. But you know what? Everyone else, but at the same time, everyone that's like pushing vaccines, there's probably one person that's like, I just love it when I see people getting myocarditis. And again, fuck that guy. Or that woman, you know, we're going to be inclusive here.
Yes,
the vast majority, that's again how I try to look at it. When people look at me and they're like, you're spreading misinformation, I'm like, they're not coming at me because they're like, I hope Tommy's podcast fails. I hate this guy. They genuinely believe what they're standing for. And I even kind of like, in a weird way, I kind of like respect it. I'm like, there's someone that like truly believes in the betterment of everyone in their mind, that they're willing to go against an old friend named Tommy. They're willing to stand up and go, you know what? I'm going to be the one that tells them, hey man, that's cool. I disagree with you, but that's cool. Like, I respect that. And at the same time, I would hope maybe they can see my point where I'm like, I'm willing to have the vast majority of people I know turn their backs on me because I truly believe in what I'm interviewing vaccine injured individuals such as yourselves. I'm interviewing doctors who were fired for prescribing ivermectin, who had to watch patients die with COVID because the hospital administrator said you can't use hydroxychloroquine. I truly believe where I stand. It's not because I'm like, Pfizer sucks, I don't want them to make any money. Like, that's not what it is. There's probably someone out there but again, the vast majority, the people pushing ivermectin aren't making money off ivermectin. And to an extent, I believe that the people pushing for me to like shut up or to censor me, they've probably lost someone close to COVID. And they might even think maybe there's like a grain of truth to what Tommy's saying, but it's for the greater good. And although all of human history has shown that's a terrible justification, the people I know that have reached out to me and are angry, I know them and they are wonderful human beings. So I have to look at them and go, in my mind, go, they're not a bad person or they're not a bad guy or girl. I know them. Like, I would, if I had kids, I would happily make them, I would let them babysit them without ever blinking twice. Like I would, if they ever needed anything, I would reach out in a second. I know they're good people. I know they're smart people. I went to college with them. All of them, they're all doctors and lawyers but all of a sudden they're reaching out and they're saying negative things about me. I'm like, are they a bad person? Or do they maybe truly believe in something and they're taking a stand? Which, if they can realize that, then maybe they can realize where I'm coming from. And if I can realize where I'm coming from, I have to understand where they're coming from. And again, for the few people out there that are just like, I just want to kill grandma, we're not dealing with them. They're demons. We don't need them. But
They're the minority anyway,
yeah, screw
right?
them.
Like,
They're
so
yeah.
yeah. And I just feel like through, I'm in Minnesota here. I grew up a couple miles away from where George Floyd was murdered. And, we have just a lot of hate and division. And I truly believe if, people slow down and start having conversations and realizing that there is more overlap, that there is like a middle section where they just care deeply about human beings rather than just standing firmly and hating somebody. And in many cases, hating strangers that we don't even know just because either they wear their mask funny or they are wearing a mask or they're not wearing a mask or whatever it is. Like it's just not doing us a service at this point. And I truly believe the only way out, and there is wisdom in trauma. We've all had trauma. Like you said, some people have lost many people that they know and love to COVID. And that's true. And that's a real trauma. So let's respect that for them. But they can also, I think it's a both and. I was talking to Kim about this, Kim Witzak. It's like not saying but saying we can have both the vaccines and support and talk about vaccine injuries.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Need to be
a but. It needs to be an and, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that would serve us all as human beings much better.
Yeah. There was someone that at the gym I used to go to who would wear like 3 masks, a face shield, latex gloves, and I was always just kind of like, dude, this chick is nuts. I would just think to myself, and then I found out like months later that her husband had died of COVID, and in my mind, I'm like, and here I am walking in here every day, in my mind, going, look at this psycho, and it's like, Jesus, it's like,
Yes.
okay, it's like, come on, look in the mirror,
Yes.
man. Like, what do you? I never said anything to her, but I'm like, the fact that I was even holding those, kind of smirking to myself, like, look at this idiot, and now I'm like, oh, well, Jesus, the person she took vows with, fell in love with, raised a family with, lived together, thought they were going to go into the golden years together. And then now he's just gone and she's alone and the kids are out of the house and she's working at a shitty gym. And I'm like, hey, man, you know, who cast the first stone? And so that's where I try to come from when I look at, I'm like, where are they coming from? What do I
Yes.
know? Well, I mean, truly, what do I know? And yeah, it's brutal. It's
I think it's backing up from the judgment, just like we were talking earlier, and you said it, and I think it's true. Like, not lucky for me, but I was valedictorian. I did bike 150 miles over 2 days, by the way, 75 and
oh
75.
my god, it's so much less impressive.
Back to back. Just making sure that you know that piece. But so I am able, and I have my corporate America experience for over 25 years or 20 some years. So I'm able to advocate for myself and I'm able to be heard sometimes. And so many people aren't able to be heard. And that concerns me. And that's why I'm speaking out, because it's like, I know so many other vaccine injured who are just getting cast aside and called anxious, but I know what they're going through is real because of the symptoms that they're telling me. And again, like, who am I to judge somebody else's truth? Like you just said, like, who are we to judge that person who's double masked over there? We
Yeah.
have no idea what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
It's just we have to get back to kindness and humanity, or we won't make it out of this at this point. I feel like there is a shift. I feel like there's a coming together. When I was in Washington, DC this last time, I was there in November and then again for the March in January, I felt like, look, there are people of all walks of life here, all races, all genders, all political sides, and we're all coming together because of, we believe mandates. For me, they seem inhumane, especially if you're not going to support the vaccine injured. I mean, we have no safety net whatsoever. I have to pay for everything out of my own pocket. I'm lucky though. I'm lucky because I have short-term disability that's turning into long-term disability at work, and I have insurance. But I know many people who don't. Again,
Mhm.
so again, that gives me an opportunity. Like I've got my safety net, I've got my husband, my kids are teenagers, so they can help me. They don't need me in the same way that they did 10 months ago, or that I was there for them 10 months ago when I couldn't move. So I have some advantages, but I'm really concerned about those people who don't have it, the advantages that I have, despite the fact that I'm not pumped. I've got the situation and it seems to be deteriorating. The neuropathy is getting worse. And, I don't know how long you can deal with a heart rate that's so high. Like I'll see that on my Fitbit, it looks like I've exercised 8 hours and 38 minutes when really I'm lying on the couch. And I'm like, I
Jeez.
wish that was from I wish that was from biking, but it's
Yeah.
not. My heart, my autonomic nervous system is out of whack. I have cardiovagal adrenergic dysfunction, among other things. But I can still, use my voice and my experience and try to shed light on this. Like I started speaking out more loudly when they start wanted to give vaccines to kids. And I'm like, but wait, you don't have a safety net. You don't have a safety net. How can we be giving this to kids at this point? And we don't even know what the long-term impacts are going to be on those children. Like that is concerning. I don't know what my long-term, I know what my 10-month impacts are, and I don't think it's going to change tomorrow. And I would not wish this on anyone, not even an enemy or a mean person at this point. Like it's awful.
Yeah, it's what I was gonna say is, I mean, thinking about like that woman at the gym, and then that's like the flip side of it. How come this person's so against vaccines? Well, how do you not know that their wife is vaccine injured? What if you didn't? What if it was a kid? What if it was like a guy my age who's like, yeah, I'm against them. It's like, well, let's say you're my mom, and let's say you didn't have like, disability and a supporting husband. I'd be like, dude, my mom's completely screwed. Like you think I'm just some anti-vaxxer, but you don't know how this has like ruined my family. Like nothing's ever going to be the same. There is no safety net. Sure, I get it. It's a pandemic, and yeah, despite everything we're talking about, statistically, the vast majority of people won't be vaccine injured, which doesn't mean a damn thing to someone like you. But sure, to someone that's just like, hey, I'm just going to take it, go for it. But then I mean, you have to open your heart in the same way that it's like, how many people that aren't wearing masks? I mean, suicides are through the roof. And I'm not even saying that as someone who's lost someone. I'm just like, let's just use that as like a traumatic thing. Lockdowns have caused a massive spike in suicides. Maybe there's someone out there that's not wearing a mask because that's the only kind of like the punching bag I was talking about earlier. The only thing they can grab onto to sort of fight against what happened to their brother or sister or mom or son is that, like, you know what? The least I can do for them is to not wear a mask and end these mandates and lockdowns sooner, because I don't want this to happen to someone else. And if you're just looking at it, it's like, look at that idiot redneck. He won't wear a mask. I bet he's a Republican. Little do you know, it's some dude whose sister hung herself because there's been no social life for a year. And you go, oh, that person's doing the one thing it's not like your sister was murdered and you can go do some John Wick shit and like hunt down the killer. It's like the one thing they have is like, I'm going to rip this mask off. Like, screw everyone. Now, is that everyone? Absolutely not. But those are extreme examples. The woman at the gym losing her husband, the hypothetical person losing a sister. But what those represent are people coming from a not a bad, I want to kill your grandma. They're coming from a place of they're doing what they think is best. Again, those are extreme examples, but even if it's something smaller, like me, who's going, maybe someone else out there is losing someone to suicide, or maybe there's someone that didn't lose a husband to COVID, but maybe they lost someone to just a random blood clot 5 years ago, and they're like, hey man, I know what it's like to lose a partner, and there are people out there losing partners to COVID. So you know what, I'm for the mask, even though COVID's never touched my life. You look at all these things and you're like, dude, so much of this is just really what it is. I know this sounds cheesy and idyllic. It's extreme love. And it's these two big bubbles of love, but they're rubbing against each other and there's sparks. And we're all going, there's sparks. Why would these people want sparks? And the reality is, it's like, dude, it's not that. There are some people that are like, I want sparks. And again, we've agreed they can go to hell. They're demons. But like inner circle, I mean, Dante's Inferno, like those people suck, right? But there are the vast majority is people who are genuinely doing what they think is the best thing. Or, if you've lost someone, they're doing what they know is the best thing. And there's nothing you're going to do to change their mind. We have to start looking at that. And the only way you can have these discussions is by having these discussions. So if you censor it, you're killing all chances at empathy. You're killing it all. Are some of them wrong? Probably. There are guys out there that are, COVID's not real. And it's like, well, you're insane. Like you're genuinely insane. The earth is flat. Okay, got it. And then there are people that are like, boosters every month for the rest of our lives enforced by the military. And it's like, you're a Nazi. Like, I get that. But even those, you have to have those discussions, because the only way to fight misinformation and disinformation is by proving them wrong. If Joe Rogan's going on there every day going 4 + 4 is 5, you don't say misinformation. The White House needs to work with Spotify. No, you have a mathematician go on there, get a whiteboard and go, it's 8. Here's some marbles. We want to do a visual learner. Here's an abacus. You want a calculator? You can punch it in yourself. You can bring your own calculator. Maybe I'm cheating. That's how you fight this stuff, is by discussion. But when you just go misinformation, it's like, what the hell is going on? So the only way you can have these discussions is by literally having these discussions. And yes, just like the sparks, just like the guy that wants to kill grandma, there are going to be some terrible people out there. But again, you don't need to silence them. If they say COVID's not real and the earth is flat, the Democrat and the Republican can both kind of look at each other and be like, dude, what the hell did that guy just say? Like, let it go. Let it go. You don't need to no one's ever removed tabloids from grocery stores. When it says Godzilla is actually Hillary Clinton who killed Elvis, no one goes, this is dangerous. People go, oh, I can't believe somebody's making money off that paper. Good on them. I respect the grift. Like, right. I don't know where the hell I'm going with this now, but you can't censor people, damn it.
The censorship is concerning, and I'd say I love the humor that you're putting at it, first of all, but like from a more serious note, like, sure. I think you're doing those who are injured or have had a trauma of sort. For me, those who are vaccine injured, you're injuring them again by silencing their truth. Like, this is true. I really wish it wasn't. I would have loved to have met you some other way, not coming on your show as a vaccine injured, being like, this is my experience. It sucks. My leg's burning right now. Like, but it's my truth. And if you're going to injure me and then try and keep me quiet or not have empathy for me, that's doing additional harm and additional blaming. It's causing me pain, like literally. And I have enough pain, thank you. Yeah. So why don't you just let me tell my truth? Like, and I get more concerned about other people who don't have the supportive network that I do. And it takes energy to speak out, like probably my adrenaline is going up. Oh no, actually I'm in a calm right now with you. My heart rate's not that high. So
well, you can you can see when I start getting passionate, because my right cheek will start to get red.
I see
so you can find, and there's like a patch of white in the center. Go back and watch any episode of me with a doctor talking about COVID. I start screaming and I'm like, I look like Hitler. I start turning red and I'm like, not the vaccines and personal freedom. And you can see, and if I'm really getting passionate, if I have on like Dr. McCullough or someone, it'll just engulf my whole face. I'll start to look like a demon. But sorry, adrenaline.
I can't even see that it would be possible that you're looking like a demon, not with the words that I've been hearing.
Well, I don't know, mute it, and then just look at me and you'll see it. But I mean, even there's like some symbolism of censorship. If you listen, he's not a demon. Mute it and look at what someone says on a news article. Joe Rogan's a demon. You're like, well, I guess he is.
Yeah, I have to admit, like, back it up to Suzanna pre-vaccine, and I find myself a little guilty of some of these same sort of prejudices against like people who vote differently than me. Like I mean, I'm guilty before this experience happened to me. So talk about,
Sure.
being maybe thankful for the lessons that I'm learning. I'm learning like mainstream media isn't, I used to have CNN as an app on my phone, and now I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna follow that rhetoric. I'm gonna dive into non-mainstream media in a way that I never did before and listen more carefully than ever I did before. And I think we just need people to listen more carefully again to everything and not write people off, especially their truths. It's painful to do that.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, keep going.
Oh, I was going to say, I actually, have kind of organized or tried to support those people in Minnesota who are vaccine injured. And we were able to get a meeting with staffers for Governor Walz here in Minnesota. And this was in December. After I got many people to call, and finally we got a meeting. And 6 of us shared our stories. One is a heartbreaking 25-year-old firefighter from Minnesota who died 6 hours after his first Moderna shot. Then there's me, then there's my story. Then there's another mom talking about her young 19-year-old son who has symptoms similar to mine. And, other people with myocarditis focused issues. So we all share our stories. They give us 30 minutes that they let us have 45. Kim was there as well, supporting us. And the Minnesota Vaccine Safety Council was there as well. And when they said they would follow up with us, they weren't following up. I tried to get back I got back to them. We sent notes. We gave them the updated numbers of, over like 15,000 Minnesotans injured. And we asked them, could you please these are our asks, acknowledge we exist so that we can get more help, when we go to the doctor's office, like, yes, vaccine injuries are real. And then support us through research us. There's a $7.7 billion surplus right now in Minnesota. I'm like, use a little bit of that money to support us or support those people who are paying out of pocket, since the federal government is not doing that and hasn't paid out a dime yet.
Time out from all the COVID talk. If there's any state running a surplus right now, I mean, they need to take over the federal government. I mean, my God, that's completely regardless of COVID. I mean, hats off.
Yeah.
Just I get you what?
Well, I would say hats off, except that they turned us away. Like they said, no, they would not be pursuing our proposal. And I was like, oh my God, I voted for that guy. He's a Democrat. I voted for Governor Walz. I voted straight down the party line. And I was like, are you serious? You're like seriously gonna completely leave us in the dust when you have a surplus. We exist.
It hurts to be burned, dude. I mean, I've voted in 4 elections now. I've voted on both sides of the aisle twice. And it hurts to be burned. I voted for Obama in 2008 because I was like, close Guantanamo Bay. And that didn't happen. In 2012, I voted for Romney because I was pre-med and I was like, fuck Obamacare. He didn't win, so it didn't matter. 2016, I voted for Bernie in the primaries because I was at the lowest point in my life. And that's not like a joke about Bernie. It was because I was like, everyone needs mental health care. It was 2 years after I lost my brother. In 2020, I voted for Trump because I was like, yeah, I fucking like where the economy is going. And now I'm like, and Trump's the guy that passed warp speed and is making it so people like you can't talk about it. And not only that, he was in office when the censorship started. He never did a thing about it. The vast majority of episodes I talked to, not just injured people like yourself, but McCullough, Malone, Fareed, Urso, Merrick, Nass, on and on and on. Alexander, Hodkinson, Hatfill, Alabic, all physicians that I'm interviewing are all censored and can't talk about anything. They can't fight back against it. And Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, they have the ability to wage absolute war because they were waived all liability. it hurts to get burned. And you go, I voted for that asshole. That's how it feels. But there is a lesson to be learned from that is you go, it's not going to be red or blue that save us. It's going to be people
Yes.
talking to the purple. It's going to be people talking to each other and going,
Yes.
what is going on? How different are we? I mean, not only do you realize that like everyone is coming from love, you also realize that we're all being screwed by the people in charge. It's that dawning moment where you go, it really isn't left and right? It's up and down. It's up and down, damn it. And I've got an inkling that the people on the up might be making us think it's left. And then, and then it's like, well, yeah, and there you go. And now you figured out all human history. And, and that's when you get killed because you become a danger, like JFK or something. But like, I get what you're saying. I think you get what I'm saying. I mean, the only way to, to have these discussions are to have these discussions. And even if, and you and I are agreeing on everything. Let's say we were vehemently opposed. Like, I would love to have someone on here who like lost a spouse to COVID. Like, pull my pants down and, show me what it's like. Like, because I can sit here and agree with you. I can sit here with doctors and agree. I haven't had anyone come. I would love to have Dr. Fauci on here. Maybe he really is a demon from hell. I kind of think he is. Maybe he really is a demon from, maybe he's not. Maybe actually get him to open up, have a couple drinks with them. And he's just like, dude, I'm as confused as anyone. I'm scared shit. Maybe. Again, I don't really think, but maybe. Truly, maybe. And so not only do you have to have these discussions, then there's the kind of more meta layer to it. We can have these discussions and you and I can agree, right? What if we disagree? What if I'm sitting here and I lost a wife to, let's say I'm 30, I'm not. I am 31. Let's say I was married, I'm not. Let's say I was, and I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with this person, and I get a year with them, and there's a freak accident and they die of COVID. What if you and I were sitting here and I'm going, I see your point. You used to bike 150 miles in 2 days, granted. And you're looking at me and you're like, I am, now I have brain fog. I was valedictorian, but here's this young guy that just lost his wife and they were planning their whole life together. We're not going to really agree. We're going to agree to disagree. But number one, you have to have that discussion, the no censorship. But now what's the bigger level? What's the zoomed out even further? Not just the big picture. What's the collage of big pictures? What do we do when we don't agree? That, I think, is where meditation comes in. And that's beyond COVID. But what's beautiful about it is it's not just applicable to COVID. It's also applicable to the war in Iraq. It's applicable to Vietnam. It's applicable to, trying to figure out why slavery existed for so long. It's applicable to, the Holocaust. You can't bring your mind to even begin to rationalize it, but you'd have to be like, all right, why did you think you had to do this? Granted, they're all demons from hell and they all should and were hung at Nuremberg. But I'm using these extreme examples is to say, at some point, and that's going to be really bad. That's absolutely going to be clipped out of here. Someone's going to say that and saying, Tommy says use meditation to justify the whole. Jesus Christ in heaven. That was maybe
somebody might do that to you.
Yeah,
right?
well, you know what?
Which
Well,
is
fuck
not
that. You know
what
what?
you are trying to say.
Not at all.
I mean,
My grandfather's brother killed Nazis with his hands. So, I'd screw them. But the point I'm trying to make is this. If at the very least we can at least have the discussion, the next level is well, what do we do when the two bubbles of love collide? You have to realize that they are bubbles of love. And that's the vast majority of people are going to hear that and turn off this episode now. They're like, all right, they're going into the tree hugging stuff. Man, you won't know until you've tried. It's 1:10. I got to use the restroom real quick. I'm going to do what I do with every guest and throw you in the hot seat. And you are now going to monologue for 30 seconds because it makes it easier than cutting out. So welcome to Suzanna
Okay.
Cast.
This is the Suzanna Cast. You know what I'll do with this time? I think I will just read what my birthday wish was on LinkedIn. I recently had a birthday on February 7th. And with my birthday, I had a series of of wishes, and that is that we could pull together and not apart for humanity. And I have some examples of how you can do that. Find the common humanitarian ground when speaking with somebody whose opinion is different than your own, which is exactly what we were talking about. Not invalidating somebody else's truth or pain just because it makes you uncomfortable. Turn off the news and love your neighbor, which is a quote from my friend Anna Boats. She's a photographer. Smile at people you don't know. Consider mainstream media with a critical thinking mind instead of just thinking it's crazy. I never did until recently. Use the words both and instead of but. We talked about that one. Walk in someone else's shoes for a day. I have a deeper understanding of how difficult and taxing it is to be handicapped. Ooh, you're coming back right at the right time. I only have 2 more of these or 3 more of these.
Beautiful.
What you focus on grows, which is what my amazing neighbor Antoinette said. So grow humanity and not division. Complete an act around a random act of kindness, and please share my birthday wish. So I was just sharing I don't know if you could hear that. Well,
No. I go. I
monologued it, and
Good.
I shared my birthday wish. It was recently my birthday, February 7th. So
happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And my birthday wish, I put it out there on social media, hoping it would spread, which contains so many parts of what we've been talking about. And exactly, I think my number 2 was exactly what you said, like, respect other people's opinions and understand that they have those for a certain reason. Unless, of course, they're completely evil, but most people are not evil. And remember that too.
Yeah. And so got about actually, so this episode, because I don't do them live, so I'm going to upload this later. And I got to run in exactly 18 minutes because I got to prepare for Dr. Malone coming back on here.
Oh,
so I'm super
great.
excited
That's
about
exciting.
which was only solidified like 24 hours ago. But
Very cool.
won't be spoiling it because by the time this episode's up, the episode with Malone will be finished. But so with these 18 minutes, I do kind of want to go into meditation. And I'm probably going to end up monologuing, so have mercy. But for me, number one is like the importance of meditation. In college, kind of like you being a good example of, and it sucks to suck. And it's like, gee, thanks. Yeah, good. I'm the example. I can bike and I was valedictorian. Now I have brain fog. And need a wheelchair. Great. I'm glad I'm the example. Given. I look at how meditation changed my life. I've always been a hard worker. When I put my mind to things, I can just do it. Never played basketball until like 7th grade. All my friends have been playing since kindergarten. Decided I wanted to play basketball. Did it nonstop. By 8th grade, I was like one of the best players. Just dialed it up. Never was into sports or really kind of being athletic. I started working out like 8th grade. That's all I did. I looked like a bodybuilder by the time I graduated high school. I mean, genuinely looked like a bodybuilder. I just put my mind to things. Was never that great of a student though. And I could kind of do one-track things. Freshman year, partied a lot, terrible grades, blah, blah, blah. Sophomore year, really kind of, I don't really even remember how or why, but I think it was the day of or the day after my 20th birthday, like August 7th. And I just meditated. I think I was having anxiety or something, or tried something. And I just meditated. I sat cross-legged on like a pillow on my bed and just kind of went inside. And it brought me peace. And it also made me realize that long-term goals can absolutely be accomplished. You just have to break them down into baby steps. I was a 4.0 student for the rest of college, graduated magna cum laude, published my own research in aquatic toxicology, scored in the 95th.6 percentile in the MCAT, got into the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, scored in the 99th percentile in the PCAT, got into pharmacy school. Again, perfect shape. Was taking out student loans, but still even making money. I had like my own stock portfolio. Worked the hard, and so people go like, "What happened? What snapped?" And I'd always say, I meditate a couple times a day, and it just, you say it to people and they kind of just, they glass over and they're like, okay. And I'm like, but the thing is like, you really can't explain it. And I hate this analogy because it sounds like some Ivy League, like, oh, peasant, you wouldn't understand. but you really can't understand until you start doing it. And I say that meaningfully because I don't understand the importance of meditate. Every day is new. I go, I don't want to meditate today. It's 20 minutes. I'd rather play on my phone. Why do I need to meditate? And then you meditate and you go, oh, that's why. And it's been about an hour and a half since I meditated and it's already kind of fading. I'm like, why do I do that? It doesn't, it's a weird thing, but it's the one thing I can point to. I stopped doing it after my brother died. And granted, you could also go, well, it might have been that your brother died and you decided not to go to medical school and there was an existential crisis. But I started meditating again when I started this podcast in 2019, and my life has become immeasurably better. Now, there are other things to it. There's growth. There's realizing that life is tough and that no one's there to pick you up. My parents are, but one day my parents won't be there. Like, you got to fight for yourself. But meditation is what always brings it back down. And when I don't meditate, I can see it start to get worse. Meditating in many ways, every day is not going to be this profound, like I am a Buddha on top of a mountain. Like, no, every once in a while, like once every year, you might have some cool little moment of pure like bliss and divinity. For me, what it is it's your windshield wiper on the lowest possible setting. And it's barely even like misting out. Maybe just like snow flurries. You just leave it on the lowest setting. You don't notice it because you're just driving along. But then when you're like, it's not raining that much and the windshield wipers are kind of squeaky. So you just turn them off anyway. You're like, whatever. And then like a minute or two goes by and you're like, it's kind of hard to, you're like, it's not snowing. Like there's something. So you turn it back on and maybe it's only every 10 seconds. But eventually you go, yeah, that squeak's worth it because I can see the road. To me, that's what, and sometimes it's bigger. Sometimes meditation is full speed during a rainstorm and it really helps you get through the shit. Like after my brother died, or for you where you are now. I'm in a spot right now where it's kind of just that occasional. I just make sure it stays clear. And if I don't do it for a couple days, I can't really see it. I start to get one, I actually start to get like brain fog, but two, my heart's not as open. My heart's not as open at all. If you were like, I try to open my heart and think that the people that don't want me to talk about my vaccine injury are maybe they're scared, I would be more prone to say, fuck them, total war. Tell them to burn in hell. You were injured. It's a lot harder to go, where are they coming from? What are we doing? So on one hand, you can use it as like a way to accomplish goals. This is episode 708. Every day I'm like, I just got to do like 2 episodes today. That's all I got to do. What do I have to do to be prepared for episodes? You got to go to bed. You have to get at least 8 hours. You got to be sharp. You got to be awake. You can't be stressed, and you can't have a temper, or an attitude. Okay. What else do I need to do? I always go to the gym. I do my mile like a champ. I lift weights for 10 minutes. And then I put on clean clothes, shower, shave, look good, feel good, and I meditate, do the podcast. Okay. What else do? I listen to an audiobook. I try to knock out one audiobook a week. All right. Just so I'm always up to date on, not up to date, but non-fictional audiobooks. I like to have a large historical mass of information in my mind to draw analogies from. Meditation helps me do those little baby steps, but we're not talking about that. So that's one aspect of it, is the accomplishment. So you look back, you go 700 episodes. Wow. I've lost 30 pounds. Wow. I've read 80 books since I started this podcast. I haven't read 5 books in the last decade. Now that's the accomplishment side though. There's a whole other side, right? You can use the knife to kill someone, or you can use the knife to put butter on toast. So there's like a very kind of go get it, corporate alpha mindset that you can use meditation for. The other one is opening your heart to where others are. And to do that, you kind of have to go inside and see where you are. Where is this coming from? Yeah, it sucks. It fucking sucks my brother killed himself. It just sucks. Yeah, it sucks I got vaccine injured. It sucks that my Fitbit says I've been working out for 8 hours, but I've been watching TV. That sucks. Does that change the fact that it happened? Don't say that to me. Does that change the fact that it happened? No. Was someone responsible for it? Maybe did someone kill my brother? No. Okay. For you, they said it was safe and effective. They might be responsible. They might be demons from hell. Does that change the fact it happened? No. Okay. So where are we? We're here and we're now. What can I do to make it better? The doctors say there's nothing to do. That sucks too. What can we do to make it better? I can go to this talk. I can go to this march. They're probably all Republicans and I'm a Democrat. That's something I can do. Well, what makes it better? Maybe one less person gets vaccine injured. Does that make my life better? Might make me feel better. Probably doesn't make it much better. Is it something I can hold on to move forward in life? Because when you have a goal and when you have a purpose, it helps you move towards that. Okay, what is that? For me, with this podcast, I want to raise a bunch of money. I want to donate it to mental health research. And I like to talk about it a lot because it makes me feel like I'm lowering the stigma around it. People talk about, it's, you don't really want to talk about that. No, it fucking sucks. All right. So is that just a feel good story? Tommy, you now have a purpose to wake up every morning and work towards. Well, no, the very action of moving towards a goal, whether it's one less suicide or one less vaccine injured death, or maybe it's fentanyl. Maybe you have someone that died from fentanyl and you're like, I'm going to fight the opioid or whatever. You're railing against climate change, whatever. When you have that goal to move towards, that thing you're looking at, and it's based on helping others, whether that helps you or whether it's you feel that you're suffering and so you want to help other people suffer less, when that thing you're moving towards comes out, and I'm making this all up as I go, but when you're moving towards that thing that's based on love, like moving towards water leaves like a wake, the wake you leave is better. I call my mom every night. I never did that in college. I call my mom every night since I moved out last April. I'm a better son. I'm nicer to my siblings, my older and younger brother, who disagree with me on a lot. It helps me see them as other people. I take care of my body more. I'm like exercise. I'm like take a multivitamin. Like you're not getting younger. I try to have on people that I don't agree with. I try to keep my mind open to things. A year ago, I would probably be more in the mindset of like burn it all down, kill the enemy. People are getting vaccine injured. Now I'm like, maybe they lost a husband to COVID. So if you move towards a goal, that's good for yourself, that keeps you going. But like when the mask comes down on the plane, help yourself before you help others, because if you're not there to be helped, if you're dead, you can't help others. When you're moving towards a goal based on love, vaccine injury, suicide, fentanyl, climate change, immigration, whatever, you will start to give off little wakes of love. You will be better to your parents, to your children, to your friends, to your family, to your community. I recycle now. I just recycle. There's a thing. If you don't have a goal, and this is my own experience, my life tumbles because there's nothing to work towards. So I just start chasing pleasure. And that's weight gain, that's daily drinking, that's pills. If you have a goal, God forbid, and it's a goal out of negativity, vengeance, I'm going to fucking get those vaccine manufacturers if it's the last fucking thing I do. That might give you a purpose. You're going to be giving off like flames of death.
Not those nice ripple waves, but flames of death. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That first half is about goals and stuff. That's something I've thought about so many times, so I can kind of put it out more eloquently. Everything I just said about kind of going inside, that's all true, but I've never actually tried to like put it into words before. So I hope it came off good. But that was definitely making that up as I
Yeah,
go.
it came off great. And I had a conversation a long time ago when this first happened to me. It revolves around exactly what you said. A friend of mine, as I was saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I should go to this doctor. That she's like, you need to go inward to figure out what you wanted, what you need, what your body needs. Like, instead of grabbing at, like, I need to get to this doctor's appointment, I need this, I need that. Like, go in and figure it out. And I mean, I feel like me going in, how I used, I was taking medications, like they were giving me meloxicam and all these other prescription that even hydroxychloroquine. And I'm like, it's not helping me at all. Like, it wasn't helping me. I wasn't having a reduction in pain. So, and those things, like at least meloxicam can hurt your liver. So instead, like going inward and literally trying to reduce my stressors that are causing inflammation has helped me significantly. And I think all of us, as we go inward, it becomes clearer. There is clarity around what we want to focus on. And what we focus on does grow, right? Like what you just said. It's like, if you focus on your anger, maybe you're gonna look to drinking or whatever to like calm that down. But if you're focusing on clarity, calmness, sharing what you can share regarding mental health, which I love, by the way, on many fronts, especially for vaccine injured, because we're seeing so many vaccine injured with significant, and even me, I've struggled with, feeling pretty sad about this in a way that it's hard. It's hard. So I mean, I thank you for that too. But I just think that like going inward allows you to get clarity about what your body and your mind and your soul needs. And again, I know I'm tree hugging here, just like you said, but I think it's the only way too that then you can have empathy for others who think differently than you. You're to get yourself out of that fight and flight mode where you're centered, you understand what you need, and you're doing the best thing that you can do, not only for yourself, but kind of for the world ultimately, because you're more centered on what you want to grow for the community.
Yeah.
So I love what you said.
No, and I love what you said. And I'm kind of now realizing that you can actually kind of bring the two together. The goal orientation and the kind of recovery orientation is when you have those distant goals. I'm going to do this because this thing, again, the goal, it's good to have a goal. It gives you kind of purpose, but it's also, you give off like the ripples. Let's also be very realistic. We've all had those goals that we have in our mind. And we're like, I'm going to do that thing. We've all started a semester going, I'm going to be a straight A student. You go to every class, you take notes, you use a highlighter. You're like, dude, I am Harvard. Like, that doesn't make sense. You're like, I am Yale. And they're like, that doesn't make sense, Tommy. Are you having a stroke? And I'm like, I am, what? But then you get 2 weeks in and you're that positivity and that inspiration wears off. And all of a sudden you realize it's just a Saturday morning and you're like, I'm studying OChem. Why? So to me, that's where meditation comes in, because it's this renewing inspiration. It really is. Like, it's not just all peace and love. It's also, it helps you conquer your goals. It helps you. Hey man, 15,000 people applied to the medical school I got into. 100 got in. It also helps you kind of eviscerate your enemies. And I know that sounds completely antithetical to everything I'm saying, but in terms of accomplishing your own goals, it allows you to be the very best that you can be. And I don't feel shameful saying that, because there's no money to be made off meditation. If somebody is making money, they're a scammer, run the other way. If I ever try to sell anyone on meditation and there's money involved, run the other way. But there's not. There's just, it costs nothing. Go inside and do it. So what those goals are is, well, Tommy, that sounds great. How do I get that positive goal? The vaccine injury, the suicide, the fentanyl, the immigration, the climate change, the whatever. Those happy feelings, that inspiration, the let's do it. We're going to do it. We're going to change the world. And then you leave the Tony Robbins conference and you're like, I'm going to go to Burger King. And it's like, wait, what happened to I thought we were going to have abs. So you have to be very realistic about it though. So you go, all right, how do I do this? And that's where the whole accomplishment aspect of meditation comes in. It allows you to go. I mean, I remember when I was on episode 40, I kind of fell out of the meditation, and I was like, I'm just going to get to episode 80. I'm just going to brute force. And I did like 3 a day for like 2 weeks. And then like I just crashed and burned. And it only got me to episode 61. And I got back into meditation. There are hiccups. You just kind of get out of it. And you go back in and you're like, what can I do? You're like, I know I can do 2 today. I know I can do 2. I know I can do 2 good ones. But it's only 2. I know, just do 2. And I can do that for about 5 days. And then I need to take 2 days off, but it's 2 days of not, I know it's 2 days of not working. And then you blink and you're at episode 100. And then you blink and you're at 200. I swear I was just doing episode 600. And it was like, how did we get here? And now I'm on 708. And you go, how the hell we get here? I don't even know how we got here. Like I slept through my alarm kind of thing. And even though now I'm like, how did we get to 708? Was that episode 800? Hey man, congrats, you're episode 900. What am I going to do for episode 1000? And you just you're like, how does this even happen? But it's because you break it down into these very tiny, like exercising. You move up the weights a very little bit at a time. And the ego in your mind's like, no, you got to turn the weights all the way up now. We got to sprint on the treadmill. It's like, and then you tear your bicep and you can't exercise for 3 months. Versus you're like, what's a definitive amount of work? Still got to put, no pain, no gain. But just do what you can do. And then there's this synthesis to where you look back and you go, oh my God, it worked. I put a goal on the horizon and now I'm here. I lost the weight. I got to episode 80. I got to episode 700. And you go, oh. And then it allows you to go, that goal was great. I've become a better person in that process. And I accomplished it by just doing a little bit each day. And that's where the real fun begins. Because then you start to go, well, let's put a couple other goals on the horizon. Because they'll be here right away. So that's why I'm now like, all right, I want to be as big as Joe Rogan one day. That's probably going to take a decade. I do want to open a medical school with a mental health bent, name it after my brother. That is what I want to do. I do want to do this. I do want to do that. And because you start to get a little cocky, you go, well, I just did this. So what else can I do? And then you break it down into daily sizes and you don't get all overwhelmed into how the hell am I going to open a medical school? You need like a $10 billion endowment. Are you high, Tommy? Like, you're kicked off YouTube. How are you going to be bigger? And then what can I do today? I can meditate. I can do a good podcast with Suzanna. And we can just do the best we can, open our hearts. I got one more after this. And then I'm going to take the rest of the evening off. And I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. Episode 800, 900, 2000, 5000, cutting the ribbon at the medical school. I have gray hair. How did it happen? Just little, tiny. And I know I just beat you to death with now you can 4 easy payments of $600. You can now have Tommy's meditation course. You just got to give me your credit card and the security code. Don't forget that. And but we do got to wrap this up in a minute. Suzanna, closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it is a matter of slowing down, really. I mean, as a athlete, and as people, like, we just push through things. And what you're saying is do the opposite of push through. And what I'm saying is the same, right? Slow down, center yourself, get grounded, and you can accomplish more, believe it or not, instead of pushing through on the coffee, pushing through whatever it is. Slow down, center. I can heal. I literally plan to heal myself to some degree. We don't have any cures for this, so I'll use meditation for it.
But do those baby steps and you're going to snap, and all of a sudden you're going to go, I can't believe I just biked a mile and never thought I'd bike again. Now, I don't know when that happens, and I'm certainly not a doctor or physical therapist, so I don't want to get your hopes up. But I would imagine if someone like me can build a podcast where after this, I'm interviewing the inventor of the mRNA vaccine for the 6th time, you can do whatever you want to. So that's kind of where I come from with this, is like, just put your mind to it. Maybe you can't. Well, then maybe you can help others. And that gives you a purpose to move forward. The ripples come off of love. it's just all good. It really is. It's just all
Yeah.
good, you know?
Yeah.
And then no matter what, at the end of the day, you die anyway. So you might as well give off the love ripples than the bad ones. I mean,
Yes.
what does it matter? The
Yes.
Titanic's going down. Hop in the lifeboat or hop in the who cares? Let's drink. The band's playing. Like, there's also that whole kind of carpet. It's beautiful. It's and that's actually what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go meditate before the next podcast.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'll email you when this episode
Thank
is up.
you.
I would love to do another episode. And there's another podcast that's a bit bigger than mine that I'm going to try to get you on. I have no control over that, though. It's every once in a while, if I have guests, I'll try to toss them over there. Sometimes they take them, sometimes they don't. But I think you definitely need a bigger platform. And I think you have the most beautiful take on it. So I'm going to try my hardest to do that. It might not work.
Thank
They might
you.
just say, no, I'm not interested, in which case I'm going to be
That's
like, all right,
right.
you make me look like an idiot now. But
I appreciate you trying. It's
Yeah.
all about that.
Exactly.
We're making kindness contagious here
Yes.
instead of COVID, right?
Yeah. Give a kindness 19. Yeah.
Yes.
100 times more virulent. It's crazy. You've heard of the
Yes.
Delta variant. Have you heard of kindness? My God, it's dissolving everything. They can't stop it. There is no social distancing. Everyone's hugging. Shit, we're losing the narrative. But that was a beautiful episode. Thank you. That was good for
Yeah,
me.
thank
That was a
you.
good. I feel better now. I didn't
I
even
do
know I needed
too.
that. I do feel better. Very last point, and then I do have to run. The one thing we've been talking about this whole episode, meditation. But how do you meditate? What techniques do you use? None of it matters. I've used every technique in the book. None of them matter, and they all matter. Sit on a pillow, shut the door, turn on some white noise like a fan, and close your eyes for 20 minutes. And first one's probably going to suck. Your 100th one's probably going to suck. It eventually gets better and better. If there are other techniques you want to try, use them. Don't tell yourself there is no technique. I say there is no technique because I've done every technique, but you have to go through that. So if you see a technique and you go, I'm really interested in that, do that one. If it says follow your breath, follow your breath. If it says there's a mantra, do a mantra. If it says light a candle and stare at the light, do that. Do it all. Do everything. Set out crystals. Don't burn incense. Don't do whatever you want. Do it in nature. Do it in bed. Do it laying down. Do it standing up. Just start doing it, and you'll find the one that works for you. So that is the most important part. Is people say, well, I don't know how to meditate. Neither do I, but I'm about to go sit down for my 10,000th meditation.
Love it.
Still have no idea what I'm doing, but it feels good. Damn it. Susanna,
Well,
I know
I'm sending you good energy for your
Yes, ma'am.
meditation.
I've
Thank
told you,
so
I've
much.
told you I have to end this like 10 times and then I keep interrupting myself and keep talking. So
You got to go do it.
it's like
Thank
time.
you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Susanna. I will text it to you when it's up later. God bless. God bless everybody. Stay safe. Love each other. Meditate.